And I thought when he laughed, he sounded a little bit like Santa Claus. When he laughed, and I used to tease him about that. And I mean, there's just a lot I could say, but it was probably boring compared to everybody else's stories. But I was in a car accident early February, and I was fine, but my car was totaled, so I had to get another car. And of course, as soon as I got it, I had to send him a picture, and he's like, "Oh, it's beautiful." We got on this thing where we're gonna one-up each other with our cars. What does your car have? I said, well, my car has a lighted ignition dial. He's like, my car doesn't have that. And then, we go back, forth, and mostly, they're just both normal cars, so we had normal car things. Then one day I was like, I have a rear window washer wiper on my car. I don't have one of those. And then we went back and forth a little bit longer. So one day I was home. We had gotten off work, and he had said something about my car. Oh, I told him my car wanted to drag race his car. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And then one day I got home, and we had been talking about that, and I just said, I texted him real fast. I'm like, hey, Mark, does your car have an ejection seat and a oil slick that it can put out? He didn't miss a beat. Yes, it does. Oh, God, I miss him so bad. The whole vibe of the office is different. Without him, it was a very small office. And he just brought a lot of light and happiness. And we all miss him.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go around there. Yeah, there you go. We don't want you tripping over that.
Hi, I'm Laverne, and Donna thinks she's the main woman, but he loved me, I loved him, and we just would cut up and do stuff to our manager, because we had this little thing about the astronauts not going to the moon when they say they did, and we would get in our cube together, and we'd say, okay, are you ready? And I'll say, oh, they didn't go. She would just nut up, and me and him would be just dying laughing. And that's just the way he was. And sometimes he'd go out and smoke with somebody, and one day he comes walking in with this woman, and I just stopped right at him like that. I said, you about the two-timingest man I ever saw. And he would just love stuff like that. We all made a fuss over him, and we just would cut up like that. And he was a great guy. I loved him, and he loved me. If I was sick or something, he would make sure I had water, coffee. You need me to go get you something out the snack machine? I said, no, Mark, I don't want any chips. Because he loved chips, So that's just the way he was. Great guy, and I miss him. And when he went to work at this other place, after he left Monthly Plan, he would call me, I would call him, we would text each other. And that's when it was kind of surprising for me. But he was a great guy. So you tell your family that? Hey, Donna.
He liked it because you wore dresses, Laverne.
Yeah. Oh, he loved it that I wore a dress. And he always knew when I had perfume on.
We'll have a throwdown between these two ladies as soon as they're through.
Hey, we have it all the time.
Okay.
I'm going to tell the story that she wants me to tell. Sure, fast, okay? So Kathy Jones didn't want to do this. No, she said she thought she would tear up and it'd be hard. And I'll try to relate the story the best as she told me. She said, do you remember, she came over a minute ago and she said, do you remember that time that Mark cut my hair? I said, yeah, I remember when he cut her hair. I didn't remember the details of it, and so she reminded me of that. So she goes down, Kathy was our next door neighbor, and her and Mark were just good buddies. They just did everything together. And one time Mark went down and had some scissors or whatever, and says, I'm going to cut your hair. And he proceeded to cut her hair. and said it looked like this, right? It was just horrible, just terrible. Her mom walked in and said, "Mark Castleberry, it is time for you to go home right now." So Mark left and went up to our house, and the first thing he did was he took the phone off the hook and put it on the floor. Because he knew her mom was going to call my mom. He's going to get in trouble. My mom said, "Why is the phone off the hook?" "Well, it just needs to be off the hook." Finally, and she kept putting off the, taking it back and forth and so forth. And sure enough, it all does come out eventually. Yeah, you cut her hair and ruined her hair. So that's the story for Mark. And then every time that Kathy would cut Mark's hair, because she cut his hair, thank you for doing that. Every time she cut his hair, she'd say, "You want me to cut your hair too?" Just cut it up. So that's the story from Kathy.
Yes, Tim, come on.
Y'all might know me. I'm Tim Dixon. I was the one who recorded and worked with Mark on all the music that we've done all these years. And let me tell you, Mark was a genius. He could make a name. He created the song. He could hear it, know what it was, and then he could write it down and then share it with all other musicians, top Nashville musicians and bottom of the line home playing musicians, and make everyone understand and get together and know what was going on. And we've what music you have heard today was all we've done. And what I did is I hooked everything up, got it all together, made it work, and then Mark sat down and really made it work. Because he had no clue on hooking anything up, and thinking that you could just get a keyboard and lay it down there and say, "Here you go." Well, it don't work that way. And everything we did, we have hundreds and hundreds of pieces of music. It's not just a few. We have like 84 copyrighted, and I have a bunch he left that you will not believe. Some really good stuff I was holding back for a reason, because I knew later at a certain time, it needs to be put out, and it does now. We are up on SoundCloud. We did get our music up there, and most people don't know we were played right there at that radio station. Our friend Flying Man, the Native American DJ, played our music, and also UTC. I was kicked off Facebook for Russian Collusion because Mark and I colluded with Russia. They played our music. The top composer of Russia, Edward Artemiev, he was the man. He was the Leonard Bernstein of Russia. His son was our friend. We got our music played in Bryansk, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and in Romania too. We got played on all those naughty countries that no one likes. But they liked our music. The guy from Bryansk in Russia said, "Please send your free CD. And we will play it at your our radio station." And I went, "Mark, did you know we have free CDs? We just hand them out willy-nilly." But believe me, it got sent. And it did get sent, and we were played. We actually were invited to a musical festival in St. Petersburg, but they actually had a terrorist event. And everything was shut down because they had terrorists over their country too. We took over one of the places that the event was going to be. Plus, the money to fly to Russia, that might have been an issue. But in any case, we were invited, so that counted. Mark's going to be truly missed. There's not many people like him. He could work with anybody in the whole world if he wanted to. Because he's been all over the world. He played through church and been to many countries. And the story he told me when he went to England, he said, "No, I didn't go to museums in Piccadilly Square." He said, "I went to this place and I gambled." And he had money, and he said, "I spent all my money on this machine." He said, "It was supposed to win." He said, but he never did. So, and he said, "The rest of the day I spent riding around in taxis." But that was Mark. He was going to do something different. He was not going to do what everybody else did. I'm truly thankful to be able to work with him all these years and be his friend since 6th grade in school. I've known him, forever. And went to his house with his brothers, and I knew his mom, and his dad. And that's when we went home when his dad come home. His dad was like, "All right." We're like, "Yeah, bye, y'all." But he was always a great guy. I know y'all will remember him. Like I said, we do have more music out there to be put out. Like I said, it's going to end up going on SoundCloud. The Aurora Project is on SoundCloud. You got any questions, ask me. But what he did needs to be heard. It was truly exceptional music. I mean, we got played on the radio for a reason. We worked with some famous musicians, a violinist who played with Sarah Evans and Lori Morgan, and Glenn Campbell, Loretta Lynn, and they came, and I was like, "Well, did you hear the CDs we gave you?" He said, "Yeah, why do you think I'm here?" he said those were truly exceptional. And he said that there's one thing though I had to do after listening to music. I said, what? He says, get religion. Because Mark had a very, very, you know, his music was holy. Most people didn't really realize it was from somewhere else. He always said there's a cosmic field of music up there, a wave, he said, and then sometimes you can tap in. He said, and sometimes they're not answering the phone. So. But he was a truly talented guy. Played at UTC as well. And I know why Kathy Jones learned to cut hair is that bad haircut she got. She said, this will never happen again on my watch. And no doubt she did. I knew Kathy too. We were kids in the neighborhood. We rode bikes and played together and everything. And that's one of the reasons Mark ended up working with me. You know, I mean, I happened. Plus, having a recording studio doesn't hurt. But we spent a lot of time, tons of money. Mark might have been, like I said, manages money so bad. He was waiting to get a last piece of equipment with the money he had, and I slid him a few dollars. That's when I had a few to slide, and we got that last piece of equipment in. And he did leave some good recordings on that. Truly, everything we had was the hit makers. I mean, every time something new came out, it's like he got his Kurzweil keyboard. We asked the company. We said, well, when's it coming out? They said, well, it's coming, it's coming. We haven't got it produced quite yet, the production run. We said, well, who's on the waiting list? They said, oh, Elton John and The Who. And Mark said, put us on that list. That's the list I want to be on. So we were on the list with Elton John and The Who in any case. But he's truly going to be missed. But one thing Mark did leave evidence. He was here on this earth. There's many good pieces of music, and I hope everyone takes a little time to go to SoundCloud and look. If y'all want some names, I'll let you know. But everything you've heard today is what he's produced and made. And, truly exceptional person. Hope y'all had at least some fun listening to a few stories of him. There's a million, but you know, he's a great guy, and he became friends with Larry and Angie, the neighbors next door, and then I became great friends with them. And he had a way of bridging gaps. He could hang in with anybody, you know. I mean, Lord knows, he said, Tim, they're wearing on my last nerve. I said, hang in, buddy, just hang in, you know. If she frowns over my keyboard one more time, I'm going home, you know. But he always waited till it was over. He didn't go home. But he was played by a lot of, and people were just surprised. They came up and said, who was that? They said, that was not a normal keyboard player. I said, well, you got that right. I said, but he was truly a talented individual. Left a mark for everybody to hear and at least know that he's there and remember. And I know no one here is going to forget. So just thank you for your time, everybody. Thank you.
Well, I think I'll go ahead and share, and then we'll close it, and we can still sit around and talk and share. And I do have a lot of paper, but I've got a lot bigger print than my brother Steve, so this will go much quicker, okay? You know, God blessed us with a great family. I have to pay homage to my dad and mom because none of us would have been here without them, but we would not have been here without their sacrifice, and they did that for us daily, their 3 sons, and I appreciate so much. We didn't have a lot of what the world says is important. We didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of possessions. We didn't have a lot of stuff. But we had things that money can't buy. We had a lot of love, a lot of joy, a lot of peace, a lot of faith, a lot of encouragement, and that's what made the difference to us growing up. As Steve has already mentioned, I was a sports guy growing up. If it was a ball, had anything to do with a ball, I was all over it. Baseball, football, basketball, I loved it. That was me. Steve was the practical one. He was the one that wanted to learn how to make it and how to fix it if it got broken. He, as he said, became a Boy Scout and became an Eagle Scout. So he learned a lot of life skills that he still uses today. Mark, completely different from me and Steve. He was the music guy. And as Tim has said, and I would echo, Steve touched on it as well, one of the most talented musical people that I believe I've ever been around. And I know I'm his brother, but he had a gift, and it was God-given, and he used it. He started out singing with the Chattanooga Boys Choir as a child. He learned how to play the piano at an early age. Our mother was a piano player. And Steve and I, she tried to teach us piano lessons, but I was that little boy that was always looking at him playing ball outside. I didn't want to practice the piano. Steve didn't make it, but Mark did. He hung in there with it. He had perfect pitch. You could sing a note, and he could sing it without listening to it. I made a lot of money off of Mark that way growing up. I had friends in the neighborhood, and I'd say, my brother can sing a note without even hearing it. And they wouldn't believe me, and I'd bet them some money, and I'd bring them in to Mark. I'd say, okay, Mark, sing an F sharp or sing a B flat. And he would sing it. I said, now hit it on the piano, and he'd hit it. It'd be exactly that note. I'd say, pay up, guys. Let's get some money from that. He didn't like sports. Steve talked about his snow cones and running to third base. I remember him sitting in the outfield playing with the flowers and the weeds instead of paying attention to the game. He also got taken by my brother Steve several times. As Steve said, he sold him one time a chemistry set. This chemistry set had beakers and test tubes and was supposed to have chemicals in it. Steve had already used up all the chemicals. There was nothing to do an experiment with. Steve did not provide a money-back guarantee, so Mark was stuck with the chemistry set. And when we cleaned out his house, in his attic, he had that chemistry set. So he may not have gotten much use out of it, but he held on to it all of his life. Mark provided the first traumatic experience in my life when he fell off our uncle's truck and broke his arm. He came into the house crying and screaming, "What's wrong, Mark?" He took off his coat, and when he did, his arm just fell limp. It looked like it was going to fall off his body. And it made me sick to my stomach. How insensitive could he be to break his arm and to do that in front of me? You know, I couldn't understand it. Mark was always the odd kid. He didn't do the things the conventional way. We were on vacation once, and he became frantic. My dad asked, "What in the world is the matter with you, Mark?" He says, "I've lost my egg." And my dad said, "You've lost your egg? What are you talking about?" "I've lost my egg. It had all my money in it." Well, legs, pantyhose used to come in an egg. My mom used to buy those pantyhose, and Mark kept the eggs. This was his wallet. This is what he put his money in. He put it in his pocket. He lost his egg, and my dad, and we never got over that. He was just a different guy. Speaking of Mark and our dad, they had run-ins frequently. On one occasion, everybody was out of the house. I don't know why we were all out of the house, but Mark was the only one in the house. And he decided to lock all the doors, deadbolts and everything. Well, when we got ready to come in, we couldn't get in the house. And my dad said, "Mark, unlock the door and let us in." Not going to do it. I don't know why he wasn't going to do it. My dad said, "Unlock that door and let us in." And he would not do it. My dad had to finally bust the door in. And after he busted the door in, he busted Mark's rear end like nobody's business. But Mark was the kind of kid that he'd get a whipping and he'd turn around and look at Dad and say, "Didn't hurt. Didn't hurt." Well, that just infuriated our dad. He'd hit him even harder. I'm sure our dad could have been arrested for child abuse in this day and time, but it didn't hurt. Listen, I told my dad when I was going to get a whipping, it was hurting before he ever touched me. I didn't want any part of it, but that was just Mark. Perhaps my favorite story was when we were teenagers. Steve and I got our wisdom teeth cut out at the same time by an oral surgeon. We both, because we went under anesthesia, there had to be somebody to help us home after the surgery. My dad was working, so Mark and my mom went to be our helpers after we got our wisdom teeth cut out. Well, I'm in the room, I'm coming to after having this surgery, and my mom's in there with me. And the nurse comes in and says, "Miss Castleberry, you need to go check on your son." And I thought she had to go check on Steve, that Steve was having some problems. But when she got over there, Mark had passed out on the floor because Steve had drooled some blood out of his mouth. And Mark passed out. Me and Steve got our wisdom teeth cut out. We carried Mark to the car after it was over, and he was supposed to be there to help us. On and on I could go with our special Mark times growing up. But Mark did grow up to be a wonderful adult with so many gifts and abilities. Like I said, musical talent beyond compare. Playing piano for the Chattanooga Little Theater, playing for church services, composing music with Tim and others. He blessed us with special CDs for Christmas. He would play some of the old hymns of the faith and make those for us, along with his original projects. He had a great love for friends. Many of you are here today. You know, the Bible says that a person that would have friends has got to show themselves to be friendly, and Mark was certainly that. Mark befriended you. You were special to him. He was special to you. And I just want to say again, especially after our mom died in 2008, so many of you took him under your wing and took him home with you and shopped with him and had fun with him. And that meant everything to Steve and I because we couldn't be there to do that. We know Mark loved his pets. I won't go further back than Jack and Scruffy. These dogs were more than pets to him. They were his companion and friends. And he would do anything for them. He would do more for them than he would even do for himself. Above all, Mark loved his family, and he particularly loved our mom. Moms and children and their children already have a unique bond. But the bond between our mom and Mark was at a whole nother level. I'm so glad that they were able to live in the same area and share life together until she passed. They visited regularly, talked often, were there for each other. Mom did as much for my mom's health and welfare as she did his. They needed each other, and I'm so glad they were there for each other. Mark stayed in touch with Steve and I, primarily through emails and texts, and occasional phone call. It was always good to talk to Mark and hear that laugh. I can still hear it, and it reminds me of his quirkiness, which always definitely lifted my spirits. You know, something that was amazing about Mark that I didn't understand. He truly loved our family. I'm blessed today. My wife Susan is here with me. Our son Glenn. We have 2 other children, but Glenn could come. Daniel is Steve's son. But Mark, when we would get together, he would ask about our family. And he would begin to run down the list by name. Well, how's Glenn doing? Is he and Heather, are they doing okay? How are their kids? How about Andrew and Mariana and Harper? And I'm sitting there going, you know, I can't even remember their names and they're my grandkids. But I found as we were cleaning up Mark's house, a prayer list that he had where he listed us all by name. And he didn't just put it on a piece of paper. He really did pray for us, because you can't remember names like that without doing that regularly. And many of your names were on there as well. If he knew that there was a problem in your life, he was concerned about you as well. And I'll always be grateful for that. And I have to say, Mark and I, Steve, we didn't always agree on things. He made some lifestyle choices in his life that I didn't understand, but through it all and in it all, he was my brother. He was our brothers, and we loved him. We were grateful for the life that God gave us together. And it's my hope and belief today that he's at peace and in heaven with our mom and dad and others. And I look forward to the time when I'll be able to rejoin him one day. But until that happens, the lesson I want to learn from Mark is to try to truly touch other people's lives. Impact them with good. Lift their spirits with a laugh. Do a prank on them. Do something that will make them happy in their life. Because like I said, life is far too short to waste it fussing and fighting and bickering. We need to grab life. Because Mark proves that we never know when our last day is going to be. None of us could have imagined that he would have died at his age and how he did. I mean, it was one of the biggest shocks of my life. But it just reminds us that life is fragile. It's a gift. It's here today and it is gone tomorrow. So whatever we're going to do with our lives, we need to do it now. Don't put it off till next month, next year, down the road. If you need to cheer somebody up, if you need to laugh with somebody, if you need to pray with somebody or help somebody, now is the time to do it. And obviously, I believe the key to all that is a personal relationship to God through Jesus Christ. And that was the way our family, that was the foundation on which we were built. And even though Mark's faith and my faith and Steve's faith is all a little different, we had that foundation from our mom and dad that taught us that loving God and loving other people is the most important thing we can do in life. And that's how I'm trying to live my life, and I hope you will as well. God bless the memory of our brother and our friend, Mark Castleberry, and I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing in this time together today. So I want to say just a brief prayer, and after that we're going to be officially dismissed, but please let's open up the food, get the drinks out, and let's enjoy some continued time together, okay? Pray with me. Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day you've given us. And as I think it was Donna said, or Denise, one, I think Mark's looking down on us now. I somehow believe that, I don't know how, but you pull back the curtain to let them see happy times like these. And I hope that's the case. I hope Mark knew, I believe he did, just how much he was loved and appreciated by so many. Thank you for the investment that these sweet people that are here today invested in Mark. Their time, their money, their effort, their friendship. It was all a labor of love for us, and we are all the better for having known Mark and having him in our lives. Now we pray that you'd send us back to our lives, eager to be a blessing to other people, to take the spotlight off of ourselves so much and truly put it on others so that they can see you through us. Again, we thank you for this day. Bless now our time of fellowship and this food. And until we're able to meet again, help us to live our lives loving you and loving each other. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you so much. God bless you. Let's eat and have a good time.
There are pictures over here that you're welcome to look at if you want to take any home. That's what they're there for. So feel free to do the pictures, anything you want to take of the pictures, you're welcome to do that.
Thank you.